How's everybody? Y'all awful quiet. For those of you that don't know this young man, it's Mike Hall. He's been here for 7,000 years, and I'm really, really, really honored to tell you and the world, if you don't already know, he's my new chief of staff, and I'm very blessed to have him. So, it's going to get dark here in just a little while, isn't it?
Because of this?
Say what?
I said, because of this?
Well, I don't know if we could become that powerful. But for those of you that have been wondering about me, I hope you can see that I'm some way, somehow hanging on. But no, this really surprised me, and I've got to say this, then I'll answer any questions that you have. But I got Sunday. I started running a low-grade fever, and my local family doc thought take some IV antibiotics because he thought really that I could possibly have a urinary tract infection, and that's not a very good thing for the men to have. And so I did that on Monday and did it on Tuesday, and temperature didn't go away. And so he said, well, for sure, you got a viral infection. And so not because of anything other than I've got lifelong friends at Johns Hopkins that have been my buddies for a long time. And if I had an ingrown toenail, I would take off to Johns Hopkins to see them because they're my friends. And so I flew up there on Tuesday afternoon. I was there, and on Wednesday, fever was gone. Thursday at 1 o'clock, I flew back home. They've said, take it easy for a few days. I really don't know what that take it easy really is. But, and the other thing I would tell you is, the thing that really blew me away the most is I don't know that I've ever missed a day of work because of sickness of any kind. On Sunday evening, I had been somewhere, left the house and went out to drive by the state fair or something. And when I got back to the house, the trooper said, sir, are you going to take a sick day tomorrow? And I was stunned because I thought, a sick day, you know, I just never done that before, you know, so long and short of it is, you know, I sure didn't feel like there was any need in alerting everybody and concerning everybody, and I surely would have done that if I felt like that was necessary. And along the way, you know, I talked every day to Mike, and we made decisions on what we were going to do, and I talked to lots and lots of different people on everything from, you know, getting our declaration of, you know, where FEMA was really going to step in and take care of the people up north, and on and on and on. So I've been engaged. It's not like I've been just missing in action. So, but, and the other thing is, you know, if you're not very sick, there's not much wrong, you know, why in the world bother you with my not very serious problems? But that's it. That's it on that. But anyway, let's open it up and let you ask me anything. Yes, sir.
So the Saturday night flight from Wilkesburg says anything?
No, sir. Saturday night. No, sir. Not in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You're talking about,
There was a Cessna that allegedly is leased by your companies that left Leesburg 6 o'clock Saturday evening and went called to Washington International and returned to road.
no, I wouldn't have any idea what that was.
Just from the State Journal, with Nick Casey's firing, now Senator Hall, is there anything else going to happen? Any other staff changes?
Probably so.
Expect today?
Probably so. None today, but probably some. You got to understand this, and I can't be more clear than this. Everybody understand Nick Casey is a good guy, and he's a friend, and I made it really clear to people that with me switching over to the Republican side, if it were something that made them uncomfortable, they had to leave. They just had to leave. Now, in Nick's situation, the reality is just this. When it got to, Nick knew about me moving to the Republican side 30 days before it happened. And Nick said, that 30 days prior to that, he said, listen, I've run my stint as far as where I stand with, at my age. I didn't sign on to be with a party. I signed on to be with you, and I'm with you, Governor. Well, we got 2 days out, and Nick said, and I respect this. He said, I'm married to a beautiful little Italian girl that is a Democrat through and through, and the pictures that we have in our house are of Jesus Christ, John F. Kennedy, and Franklin Roosevelt. Now, and then he said, and Governor, at one time I was chairman of the Democratic Party. Well, I knew then it wasn't going to work, because, and it wasn't going to work not because of me, but it wasn't going to work because it was going to be tough on Nick. And so that's just how it has to be. The people that work directly with me, we've got to have the same views and the same goals, and we've got to know where we're going. And we can't have things behind us that are compelling and pulling at us. And so we need to go ahead and move forward now. Yes, sir.
To my mind, what developed last week was concern about where you were and because you were between chiefs of staff, which has raised the question, at least in my mind, where do you make your home? Is it at the mansion, or do you feel more comfortable in Greenbrier County? Where do you usually hang your hat?
Most all the time I'm in Greenbrier County. And, and I don't have any problem driving. I don't have any problem with availability. If I need to be here 24/7 for 15 straight days and stay right in that office, I'll be right in that office. Brad, I'm not going to let anybody not work any more than me or work more than me. No way. I've never done that, and I'll promise you to the Lord above, at the end of the day, from a governor's standpoint, taking a month off and going on vacation here or there, you'll never see that out of me. I'll be here. I'll be here night and day. I won't be going home at 4 o'clock just to go home. And I won't be not available, at 10 o'clock or midnight or 2 o'clock just because it's past when the whistle blew. I'm all in. And the only thing I just think is just this is, you see, I don't really need somebody. I don't need us to continue to spend the money and everything because somebody just waiting on me or cooking my dinners or me having, a party every other night, just bring in and spend government money and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to do that. This may blow your mind, but since I've been the governor, the state of West Virginia has not bought a meal from me. And every day I feed the state policeman out of my pocket, you know, and anybody that's with me, I pay for it. I pay for my own vehicle, and I pay for my gas. You know, I try as best I possibly can to not fly on the state plane, and I try to do stuff at the mansion to where now we're having groups and able to let the mansion be the people's house. You don't need me there and just have to have a dinner every other night and invite 30 people in there just to have a big time for me. You just don't need that. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Governor, when you say that you anticipate more staffing changes, are you saying that you anticipate more people will be resigning, or that you will be initiating those changes yourself?
It'll probably come from me, you know, and again, I think it's just, I think you just got to be really fair and just say this, you know, that you've got to have some people that are in on my staff, now not in my cabinet, but on my staff. My staff has been primarily all handpicked from the Democrat side, and that makes it cumbersome and difficult for them, you know, and it's going to be cumbersome and difficult for them working with the legislature and all that kind of stuff. So you know, there's some things that we still have to address there. Yes.
Does this reflect a change in agenda from what last session was, I think what most people would see as a largely Democrat agenda to a largely Republican cut spending, cut taxes agenda?
Well, Phil, let's go back to the last session just a second, and let's just think about it. I said in the State of the State, I said, we've got to address the fact that we've got a $500 million hole in the bucket. And the other thing is, we've got to do something to address that problem that absolutely sets us on a pathway, a right, correct pathway, and we do it across the board without hurting people or cutting any more in the bone that's going to slow us down more. Now, that's what I said. And I also said in the State of the State, it would be my hopes that at some point in time, we could get rid of our state income tax. Now, all I'm saying is just this: if we're growing income, I really believe that we'd have an increase in severance income than we are. I can't tell you exactly when the roads economic income is going to kick in like crazy. But I don't think anyone on the Democrat side or the Republican side, anyway in this House, wants to hurt people and just whack things for the sake of hurting people, you know. And I would never stand for that and everything. But at the same time, I absolutely have said over and over, I don't want to raise people's taxes. I didn't want to raise people's taxes before. You know, there are certain things that we had to do, you know, but I don't want to raise people's taxes. The net of everything would be, the greatest thing on the planet would be lower people's taxes. You know, we would all love it if we could accomplish that within our means, you know, but we just have to figure the riddles out. And one of the gigantic riddles was the roads package. And we're on our way there. That will help unbelievably. Another gigantic riddle that you guys just have to trust me on is the riddle of what the power of the presidency can do for West Virginia. Now, you know, I know President Trump can do some flamboyant things, to say the least, you know, but at the same time, I also know where his heart is, and he can really do some stuff to really help West Virginia, you know, and so there's lots and lots and lots of things we can do. I guess the net of the whole thing is just this. is one thing you can count on me for one thing, and one thing for sure is I'm not going to do what I did last time. I'm not going to work myself completely crazy and get one side to halfway agree and one other side to agree, and then go to the last component of the bus, which was my party, and then they didn't agree, and then everything fell apart. And then really and truly, if you just are true enough and evaluate, what did we really do? We went back to ground zero and just cut, and we really didn't do anything. We could have just saved a lot of money and not done anything.
If Mr. Hall is taking questions, I wonder if you have a short prescription for dealing with the budget situation coming up, whether it's a combination of raising some taxes or finding some places the administration could point to for cutting.
Okay.
That's DHS.
That's us.
You just got to talk well. Just talk. Talk.
I mean, we've hit the ground running. We had meetings this morning with some of our finance people looking at different options. Because in a few days, we'll meet with the rating agencies from New York. They're coming here, we're not going there. And I can tell you that it's a lot of the same solutions that have been looked at in the past to try to work together. And I'll work with the legislature upstairs as we consider how to solve these problems. I think everybody knows that there's certain things you can look at and certain things you can't. So we're starting to do it.
Governor, what are your intentions toward Dave Hardy?
Toward who?
Dave Hardy.
I've not spoken directly to Dave Hardy, but I think the world of Dave Hardy. And you know, I have no intention whatsoever of asking Dave Hardy to leave. You know, I mean, I got a text from Dave Hardy, you know, the other day, but other than that, I have not spoken with him. And he didn't attend the meeting, you know, where I spoke to all the cabinet, but he was gone somewhere. But Dave Hardy does a good job, and I have no intention whatsoever of asking Dave to leave. Let me say one thing back to Brad's thing real quick here. You know, if there's a way, and there may be a way, if there's a way that the severance incomes, and it's hard for me to say egotistical things, but this crazy job, I've told you before, it makes you do that. It makes you take credit for things and everything. But I did say the severance taxes would go up, and they have. And between the severance income and the road economic impact, there may be a way. There really may be a way to do this without raising taxes and get us really moving without having to cut and accomplish what we all want to accomplish. Now, Kenny.
A couple of questions, Governor. First, what changed from when you said you weren't going to make any changes, you don't look at R&D, and party doesn't matter to you, and change to when the case is gone and then other people have to go? Did you make a realization later after that press conference that just wasn't going to work out?
No, it's exactly what I said before. I mean, that's the thing, you know, and I make a lot of mistakes, but I don't ever not tell you the truth. Never. You know, if you say to me, you know, was your plane in Baltimore on Saturday or something like that, and it was something to do with me, and it wasn't, you know, I'm going to tell you it wasn't. You know, you don't have to ask me 14 more times. I said, party, as far as I'm concerned, when I selected all my cabinet and those people and I hired them, I didn't even ask them what party they're affiliated with and everything. And so, you know, that's exactly how I feel. Now, as far as my staff, the people that are working around me, that's a different animal. And the other thing I said is, if in fact the party affiliation makes you uncomfortable and it makes your job performance uncomfortable, then you got to go. Now, let me give you a perfect example. You know, Grant Herring did a great job and a great young man. But Grant is so ingrained in the Democrat Party that he could never have done this job. No, and really, if Grant had not come to me, I would have gone to Grant and said, Grant, this isn't going to work. And the reason I know it's not going to work is because of your so much being affiliated with the Democratic Party in this situation that we're in today. That's just it. And that's the only reason we would have additional changes.
But if they're not resigning and you're gonna fire them, how do you know are they telling you they're uncomfortable and then you fire them?
No. I gave you the perfect example. Let's just say Grant, and I know Grant's history through and through.
So you're assuming that they'll be uncomfortable because of their history?
No, I wouldn't let people go on assume. You know, I would say if you absolutely know, and you know their performance is not going to work, then I would go to them and I would sit down and I would say, this is not going to work.
And follow-up, do you anticipate any cabinet level changes?
I do not.
Governor, you've mentioned the road bonds a couple of times and the incredible importance of getting that passed. Do you think the controversy involving your party change and some of the change of administration could hurt the chances of getting that road bond referendum passed in October?
Phil, not unless you promote it, and you know, it's just like promoting, you know, that the state plane took me to Blacksburg one time or something like that, or the state plane, we spent $16,000 doing something when all other governors by this time would have spent $600,000. And you know, if you continue to, you know, print, you know, isolated extravagancies, you know, then who knows? You may have an, you know, impact on the passing of the road bond. But from my standpoint, I have yet to have the first person come to me and say, you know, Jim, we really resent what you've done. And I hope and pray from the Democrat side, the Democrats surely, you know, are not going to run out in the world and try to campaign and put together an alliance to make the road bond fail just so it'll embarrass me. I mean, that's what's wrong here. If we do that, that's what is exactly what's wrong here. I mean, we're willing to go out and hurt the people to get a win on the political side. Well, I don't believe in that, you know, and I'll go out in the world, and I think the Democrats will try, and I think the Republicans will try, and I think the people, you know, I went to Welch and I went to Williamson, and very soon I'll start going to everywhere. But let me tell you this, in Welch there were 75 people in the room. I thought to myself, I said, well, I'm going to just try something on here. I said, is there anyone in this room that knows somebody, even if it's Crazy Harry that works down at the 7-Eleven, do you know anybody anywhere that has said they're going to vote against the road bond levy? And they said, not one, not one. And I said, now please, come on, tell me, please tell me, please. None. Then I went to Williamson, I did the same thing. Truman Chafin was the only person that says, yeah, I've heard of somebody. 75 people there. And I begged them, and the reason I did is I wanted them to say, well, Crazy Harry down to 7-Eleven says he's not going to do it because you're raising his taxes. And then I was going to be able to address it. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to hear the response, you know, but I think the people of West Virginia will get it, and I think we'll pass it going away, and I think it'll be terribly beneficial to all of us.
I'm just trying to be clear and understand your statements about people like Nick Casey.
About what, I'm sorry?
Nick Casey. What you said about Nick Casey. I understand that he would be identified as Mr. Democrat, no question about that. But then you said that Dave Hardy, who's also been a Democrat chairman, has hired multiple Democrats since he got up here, is safe, you don't have a problem. Is it because Nick Casey gave you an indication he had a problem, or Dave Hardy hasn't? I mean, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, Dave Hardy has not at all, and Nick absolutely did. And the other thing that's really important is Dave is doing a job, and Nick is representing me every day. You know, it's different. It's really different.
Well, I was wondering about continuity, because the administration clearly has a lot going on, including the road bond, checking on what went wrong with the audits, a variety of things. Do you feel confident that continuity will be there in short order?
Well, I mean, actually, those are several of the things that I spent all last week on the phone coming up to speed on, and every one of those, I already have a pretty full awareness of what's being done. It's work that has been done, it's now it'll be acted upon soon. And I you know, fortunately with some of the staff and different ones, I've been able to keep abreast of the 8 or 10 things that actually are balls in the air right now in the office that you'll see some action on in the near future.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said no cabinet level positions, you didn't see any change. And what about staff? Do you have a number that you're thinking of, or people who have come up to you and said they're uncomfortable?
No, I think you know, Joey Garcia has told us that he's, you know, has done his thing with the ethics people, and you know, and Joey is looking and everything. And I think Joey will be moving on and everything. But and there may be a couple more, but this isn't something that, you know, that I don't really see a need to discuss it any more than that right now. I mean, it may end up no more.
Governor Justice, do you have any take on the Nicholas County Schools consolidation latest?
Well, like I said before, you know, if I had my druthers, you know, I would, there'd be a school in Richwood, and there'd be a school in all of our communities. I don't like consolidation because I think it kills our communities. But that's why we have a state board of education, and that's why we have courts, and they make decisions and everything. And that's where I'm not supposed to, nor do I, weigh in on that. And so I see it, especially with this day and time, you know, where we have so many means to be able to, you know, through the internet or whatever, bring things into schools, you know, and not have to move the students to the technical capabilities. But I just hate it. I mean, it's almost like it's just another nail in West Virginia's coffin every time we have to consolidate and do this and that and everything to save a buck, you know, and we have the death of another community here and there, and I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I'm asking just because you said it's rare for you to be sick. Can you describe your health habits? Do you try to get some exercise, eat your veggies?
Brad, I'll tell you what I want you to do with me, okay? I want you to climb in the vehicle with me and go for 3 days. 3 days. We'll put you in intensive care for weeks on end after 3 days. You know, listen, I run like crazy nonstop, and keep in mind, year before last, before I ran for governor, I killed 73 grouse. Now, I'm telling you, if you can keep up with me for 3 days, I'll award you a red badge of courage.
I will set this up, by the way.
First act.
I don't eat very good. That's the only thing.
Switching gears a little bit, just over a week ago today, about a few hundred people gathered outside of the Stonewall Jackson statue,
Right.
asking for it to be removed and asking for you to remove it. What's your response?
Well, I think it's despicable what happened in Charlottesville. There's no question whatsoever, in every shape, form, or fashion. And I am really sympathetic to people that, feel harmed or threatened or bad, about things that recall the past. And I'm compassionate to their feelings. But it's complex. Now, it's a complex situation. And I think we've got to give it some time, because what's going to happen here if you don't watch out is, if we respond to just the initial request, then right behind that is going to be a fallout of another group that's going to say, well, if you did that, then you got to take away this. And then it becomes a badminton game. And then you do that, well, then another group comes in and says, well, you got to get rid of this. And before you know it, you're getting rid of every single bit of any kind of history we have. So I would say, other than something as awful as Charlottesville and those terrible people and what they did there, neo-Nazi groups and white supremacy, where has that got a place in our society? It doesn't. It doesn't. It just plain doesn't. But I would say to everyone, if I were, again, your advisor and not your governor or whomever it may be, I would say, just as if you were, and I've got a lot of analogies, but as if you were walking through the woods and you look down from here to this gentleman and there's a rattlesnake coiled up there. Well, that snake can't bite me. And what I would do, because I know a lot about the woods, I wouldn't just run and take off running. I would stop. And I would look to my left, and I'd look to my right, and I'd look behind me. Because a lot of times they come in pairs, and I don't want to jump right on his buddy. And I would say, everybody, all groups, be respectful. Don't get carried away. Let's just be respectful and find the right pathways that are the right way that makes things fit for everyone, before we take off and do something that's just going to start spiraling and cause a lot of problems. Okay. I'm out of here. Thank y'all.